What up, what up? Welcome to episode 2 of the Euphorics podcast. On today's episode, we have Siegel. Hailing out of Los Angeles, California, but with roots in Israel, he combines his sound with different genres from all over the world.
What are you talking about?
All right.
I love it.
Episode 2 of the podcast. Yeah, we were already fucking talking. Paul Fussman's podcast.
Yeah, they have a podcast in Israel where they interview a lot of like the artists that are Israeli and have like roots from Israel.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the Tal Fussman one in the car. I think it's really cool how a lot of these artists, meet people that they really look up to. Like, he was trying to get with Dixon and trying to get with and he was kind of just telling us the whole story about it. Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like in terms of like DJ podcasts, the main one that stood out to me is like the Will Clark pod. I mean, I feel like brings on the most people. I feel like it's the most well known. I see the most about it on like social media. So he's doing something right. Yeah, Will Clark.
Dope.
But most of I think they're all like online, like through Zoom.
So that's different.
It is different. It's different not being like face to face with the person.
Yeah. I think the only other podcast I listened to besides that Israeli one, Tiga had one. He was posting it on SoundCloud.
Who?
Tiga.
Oh yeah.
He had one with Diplo. He had one with Fortet.
Really?
The one with Fortet is actually insane. It's like a 3-hour podcast.
Dude, Fortet's an absolute sicko. We were just watching his Times Square set here. The one with
Skrillex and
Fred again, and he every time he came on, they were playing like remixes of pop songs, and he'd come on and just play some stupid fucking heater, just like no one knows with like no vocals in it or something.
Yeah, he's something else. From what I've seen recently with like him and Skrillex and Fred again, it's I have mixed feelings about it. I saw him at Lightning in a Bottle, and it blew my mind.
Wow, that set at Lightning in a Bottle was insane.
And it opened my eyes to a lot. I was like, I need to rethink how I think things, because this guy is on some shit. But he's been doing it since the 80s. He's a genius. He's just a pure genius.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little on the last episode about like genre fluidity. And how he can just glide between genres like it's nothing. The guy goes from like dubstep to like ambient to house.
In his build-ups. And that's what I'm looking for when someone's DJing. Like, if you have someone who's building a story, telling a beginning, a middle, and end, making it feel like you're in a movie, but just music. I think that's what makes a DJ like a very successful set. Yeah. Like someone we just saw, we were both there, was Maya Jane Cole's set.
Wow, that Maya Jane Cole set was...
She blows my mind every time insane. She plays. But yeah, that's the most important thing to me, is I want to hear something new. I want to feel something like that I haven't felt yet. And he knows how to tell that story. So it's amazing. And of course, all my friends went without me. I have to do this podcast instead. No, it's crazy what they do. It's unreal.
It is. I'm trying to think of any other DJs off the top of my head who I know is a really good storyteller. Obviously Damian Lazarus, I talked about him on the last episode too. And I guess kind of up and coming, like, I don't know if you really want to call Red Axes up and coming anymore, but to a certain degree, I mean, it depends on, it's all relative, right?
Yeah, they definitely hit the map harder in the last couple of years. That's cool that you brought that up, because that's a very different type of storytelling.
It is.
It's very much like, let's get deep into the psychedelics, and whoever's on acid is gonna have the most fun.
Yeah. But it's also like that flow. It's like the give and take with the audience. They have this flow, and I always say that's so important with DJs. You have a great flow as well. To make sure that your tracks go into each other with somewhat of a similar energy. They should convey a similar emotion.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons a lot of DJs come out now and they say, hey, I want to DJ, I want to do this and that, and the technicals aren't so hard. Like, especially today, it's not that hard to DJ. It's really not.
It's not.
You could go on YouTube in 20 minutes. You don't
it.
even have to wear headphones anymore. You don't even have to listen to what you're playing. But that part, finding songs that are very cohesive and building it up and making a story out of it is very difficult to do. And it's very easy to see between someone who can do it and can't. I think a lot of it comes from general musical knowledge. So going back to like rock or going back to hip hop or like just knowing
100%.
knowing music in general or playing an instrument or having some type of background to it, I think goes a long way.
Yeah. Because there's so many people coming onto the scene right now and they're just like, oh, I love house music. I see the hype around it. I want to be a DJ.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Did Molly twice.
Yeah. Yeah. Did one to Tulum, now wants to become a DJ.
Oh, I've seen that too many times. That exact story.
Yeah. There's so many of those people and they need to kind of take a step back, look at the whole spectrum of music, not just house, and see how the evolution of music from hip hop kind of, I mean, in a large way, hip hop did lead into house, and house kind of led into...
They're all connected.
They're all connected.
They're all connected, and if you could find a way to really move genres and like make it flowy rather than, you know, there's the tech house, obviously that's just groove, and there's something beautiful about the minimalist, you know, groove where that's what you're feeling the whole party, and there's settings to do that. You know, you go into a warehouse, a lot of the time you want that repetitiveness. You want to get immersed, but yeah, it goes a long way to be able to tell that story, to sit down and, you know, dig for new things that people haven't heard. I think the best DJs out there, people like Fortet, people like Seth Troxler, they dig so much and they find things that people haven't heard before, songs with under 1,000 plays, and that's how you keep it going. You were talking a second ago about, like, you know, all the different genres. Have you seen like you know Reggie Watts? Reggie Watts. I don't think I know.
So Reggie, he's not a DJ. You know who John Tejada is?
Yeah, I do actually.
So John Tejada and Reggie Watts have a duo called Wahada.
Okay.
And Reggie Watts, he's like a professional beatboxer, rapper, comedian on Comedy Central. He speaks like 10 languages fluently. He's a master linguist, and he has this duo with John Tejada, where Tejada essentially like loops his vocals.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he's
very like classic house.
Yeah, and he can do any accent, and the way he can talk from like one accent into another, and he does the same thing with music. He'll play like one genre and like slowly he turns it into a different genre, and you're like, what the hell?
That's the most beautiful thing.
It's crazy.
Send me that after, because
I will.
That sounds sick. And that's all I do all day is not all day, but as much time as I could spend on it is digging for new sounds, things that'll inspire me, things that I'll want to, you know, put into my production. And yeah, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah, you definitely have embodied that Tel Aviv sound in a big way, and that dark disco sound, which of course, you know, you play a lot in Tel Aviv and you play a lot in Colombia. Those are the homes of dark disco, right, essentially, you know, and Mexico too. I think who's from Mexico? I think Teus Mago.
Teus Mago, yeah.
He's Mexican. Zombies in Miami, I think they're Mexican as well.
Yeah, in Mexico City specifically, there's a big scene for the dark disco and indie sounds. I like now. My biggest problem is I get very bored of something rather quickly.
Me too.
You know, so I've been into the dark disco and those indie sounds, but like, you know, the more psychedelic half, if you want to like talk about like the Red Axis style. But I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be. You know, I'll listen to that and it's like, okay, I love it. You know, 2 months later I'm playing something other crazy shit.
No, 100%. But that's kind of one of the beautiful things about Red Axis specifically is they don't just put out one style.
Oh no,
they have psytrance. You could find psytrance tempo songs from Red Axes.
Yeah, they have. I mean, you're talking about two guys who have about, I want to say, over 1,000 songs released.
Yeah. And
if you go to their catalog,
you talk about like how important the musical background is, and they're the embodiment of that. I mean, have you ever seen the video of them where they like conducted the symphony? Yeah, and those guys haven't been accepted throughout their career.
No, if you look back at the history of it in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, specifically in Tel Aviv, psytrance was that was the leading sound there.
Yep.
Along with trance and then progressive house.
Yep.
Which is two steps under that.
Yeah.
And Red Axis started coming out with all this crazy stuff, and people were like, "Nah, this ain't it." And they just kept at it. They did what they wanted to do. They stayed in their lane, and that's how you become successful these days. That's it's finding that.
So many artists, dude. Who made who started 20 years ago or something like that, 25 years, and only in the past 3 years did they really blow up. But they stayed true to what they were doing the whole time, and it's so beautiful seeing that. Like, and now Red Axes, their songs are like hit songs in Israel. They've made it the mainstream there.
Yeah,
which is like it's what they play on the radio. You can hear their music on the radio, which is crazy to think like. That's what's being played on the radio, no matter what country it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the things about Tel Aviv is they stay very true to their own artists. Yeah. Like the homegrown farm system that you have in Tel Aviv. And it's a cool thing because, the whole city will put those DJs, put those artists on their back. And then from there, they start traveling the world and start touring and doing all those cool things.
Yeah, man. Touring, dude. You just went on a little mini tour.
I don't know if I'd call it a tour, but it was fun.
You hit like what, 3 cities?
Yeah, I went to
4 if you include LA.
I started in LA. 4 cities. Okay. I went to, Miami, then I went to Colombia.
But you went to didn't you do 2 cities in Colombia?
I only DJed in Bogota. But then I came back here and I played in Santa Barbara.
Oh yeah.
Open for Danny Days.
Yeah, which
was incredible. Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 shows, maybe 6. I can't really remember, but lots of fun.
Yeah, that's super sick.
And it was a perfect timing. I got laid off from my last job.
Yeah. Dude, and everyone I hear about so
many people
who've gotten laid off.
No, I'm not embarrassed about
it.
Especially
sales. You were in sales, right?
I was in sales, yeah. I worked that sales job, and my whole team got laid off.
Really? They just dissolved it?
Dissolved the whole branch.
Wow.
And I was like, I haven't been going crazy with DJing. I'm just gonna, see if anyone wants me to come out, see if I could build something for myself. And I was, lucky enough to play 5 or 6 shows. Paid off for my travels, paid off for nice. My food, staying. Didn't really put a lot of money in my pocket, but
no, of course not. Listen,
it worked out.
Especially and when you want to play cooler, funner music, more intricate music, you lose a lot of the money that comes.
And you also have to consider that places like Colombia, places like Bogota, like it's very, very cheap there to be there. So you kind of have to take into account you're not going to be taking the same amount of money you'd be taking in America.
Yeah.
Try not to go down half, even though that's what everything's worth there. But in general, just if you're able to get your flights paid through your playing, and you're kind of staying there for free, that's a good base for me to start at. Hopefully in the future, you can start making more money off it. From a fan perspective, I mean, the warehouse scene's incredible, but the clubbing scene is not my favorite at all.
Dude,
so it's hard for me to get behind any
that Ben UFO warehouse party. That was a few months. That was a while ago now. How long ago was that?
Yeah, Ben UFO played a couple months ago. The warehouse was freaking sick. Like the whole setup was cool.
Insane. It was like one of the coolest setup.
They had good and like perfect sound. Who were the promoters on that?
It was Into the Woods.
Was Into the Woods?
Into the Woods.
So shout out to Into the Woods.
Maybe Lights Down Low too.
I think it was yeah. Anyways, shout out to whoever put that together.
Shout out to Into the Woods, and they're throwing an event May something with Katama.
Sick.
Katama?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So they're throwing an event with Katama.
That's cool.
So that's gonna be pretty cool.
So they killed it. couple weeks after, I think we also both went to the Motor City show, right?
Yeah, we did.
He played sick, but
yeah, that was not
setup
as good of a
setup wasn't as good.
The Ben UFO event was
I hope I don't
like,
get shot for saying that, but
what? The setup wasn't that good, dude. But that was what's crazy about that Ben UFO event was that the setup was like so minimal, dude. They had a Function One sound system. They had like maybe 10 or 15 of those like light bars.
Yeah,
those things, and that's it. No moving light heads. I
Yeah.
don't think they had any strobes. And they had what I really, really, really loved about that event the most was that they had no lights on the stage and on the DJ.
Yeah.
All the lights were in the crowd. So no one was like too focused on the stage and what's going on there. You didn't even know where the stage was when you were there. You were just in the fucking crowd, just like, what the fuck's going on? I just see the people around me. Like,
yeah, and of course all of them are just masters of what they do. Masters. And one of the homies was back there, and he was like, to Pearson Sound, he's like, yo, play one of these tracks. You know, he hit him with the request, and he looked at him, he was like, I don't even know how you know that song. But like he didn't respond to him. He just kind of looked at him like, all right, like get the fuck out of my face. And like 2 songs later he dropped it.
No way.
It was really sick, yeah. And that's why those 3, like the way they were switching out back and forth, that was crazy. I mean, they're super talented. Yeah,
it seemed so like freeform, and the whole night the energy there was like, I still say it was that. And then I went to a warehouse party with Who Made Who like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 warehouse parties are two of, I think, the best parties I've been. Some of the best parties I've been to ever. Yeah.
So the warehouse scene's cool. LA has some really good parties when, you know, people get there at 2 or 3 a.m. But unfortunately, the clubs can't do that. And hopefully that'll change soon. The whole market will change once you can have a club going until 5 a.m., 6 a.m.
Everything changes.
Yeah, but right now it's not my favorite place. So of course I'm heading out back to Miami.
Yeah. Where you can go forever in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. It's also about kind of who you surround yourself with. I think the scene right now is really, really cool in Miami, that you could surround yourself with very lightheaded people.
Yeah, you have some really, really cool homies that I met out there during Music Week.
Yeah, there's in general just really cool people out there, and it's fun to connect with them and to kind of, most of what I've done musically, like as a DJ or with production, stemmed from Miami. People that I knew there, people that I met there.
Well, that's how we met.
That's where we met too.
That's where we met.
Exactly.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Siegel and I met at a warehouse party in Miami. He was opening for Dennis Ferrer with his boy Le District. Check him out on SoundCloud. And I went up to him after the show, which is something I don't usually do because I'm not one of those guys who like goes up to a DJ and like, yo, 6-7, bro. But I really thought that Siegel and The District were playing sick music, and their flow was great. And I just went up to them after. We realized we had some mutual friends. We started talking. It was a sick night.
Stayed friends ever since.
Yeah.
That was a cool night. And yeah, like most of the things, you know, it's easier to be there also because you're closer to South America. You're closer to Europe if you want to go out there. I mean, obviously it's not that close, but
middle.
It's exactly. So you're 6 hours away from everything else. Mm-hmm. Plus 6 hours in LA. Different time zone too. That
time zone is so much better because like I swear I watch soccer. All the soccer games.
That's another thing.
They're 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. Over there, they're all at like noon, 1.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah. So, you know, I left there a couple years ago. I went traveling. You know, I went all throughout South America.
Did you go Patagonia, right?
I did, yeah. Argentina, South, you know, Patagonia. Went up to Peru, into Colombia, like just in general traveling.
How many miles were you doing a day on those like backpacking trips?
So I did a couple treks out there. Wow, it depends on the treks. I mean, there was one trek that was like 120 kilometers in like 6 days, something like that, 5 days. So No. Sorry. 60. Sorry, 60 kilometers. 60. 100 is a lot. 60. So it was about 10 kilometers a day. In Peru, it's crazy because the elevation is so much higher. So you're like a third or 100%. Halfway up Mount Everest, if you want to compare it. But yeah, I was just traveling. I was making connections in music. I was DJing. Now that was also incredible. Playing in different places like Peru or Argentina, Colombia.
I'm sure that was sick. There's some sick hikes up in Santa Barbara that are super dope. I don't know if you've ever gone hiking up there.
Santa Barbara, like
here.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some sick hikes where like there's this one hike where you go to like the highest point in like, I don't know, like 100 square miles or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I've done a few things in Santa Barbara.
It's like 11 or 12 miles round trip, and it's so fucking brutal. I did it. We went at like 5 a.m. We went to do it because it takes like 12 hours or something like that. Went at 5 a.m. We hike up this whole hill. Like it's like 90 degrees out. It's so hot. There's no trail, like because it's like very overgrown. Everything's overgrown, so it's like you have to follow like a GPS because you're like in the mountains. So they have some really sick hikes up there. The hikes in LA kind of suck.
I mean, the one thing I'll miss the most in LA and in general California is the nature and how much we have here. It's truly a blessing on that end. It's so
beautiful.
It's gorgeous out here.
And now that we got like all this rain and snow, like everything's so green right now. I drove up to Malibu yesterday and I was just like, damn, so many flowers on the hills. Yeah. Like just beautiful.
Pluses and negatives with every place that you'll go.
Yeah, you know, and Miami, it's like the people are nice. The energy there is so good.
The beaches,
the water's great. It's warm, but then like
it's just flat.
It's flat everywhere. I came back from
swamps
Music Week.
Flat.
Yeah, and I saw the mountains, and I'm like, the mountains.
After 1 week.
Yeah, after 1 week, literally.
Goes to Miami once.
3 times now. 3 years in a row, baby. I'm never gonna stop. Soon I'll be out there with Mendel. I swear.
Yeah, I was trying to convince you to come with me,
but I have this year.
Yeah.
I have this year, and I know all the people out here.
Not bad.
Oh, good. It's your bedtime.
Yeah. It's my 9:30. This is my smoke a joint. Reminder to smoke a joint before I go to sleep. I gotta put reminders now. I'll forget.
I gotta put reminders not to smoke joints.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dude, I've been smoked too much recently. You need to kick it a bit. Take it back a notch. But listen, dude, opening up Ableton like while I'm faded, so fun.
I can't do it.
You don't do it?
I can't smoke weed. I get too fidgety because when you're on Ableton, you're trying to make music. You got to be so specific, and you're moving. You're talking about like
I'm talking for like you ever just jam in Ableton? Just like
if you're more in like in the arrangement view.
Yeah, yeah.
And you just drop things in there and kind of start jamming. That's fun with samples and kind of just But I can't get too serious if I'm faded. Like if I'm faded, I'm watching a movie, I'm going to sleep.
You play video games?
Not as much as I used to.
Really? What games do you used to play?
If I'm playing video games, it's literally
2K. You're a 2K kid.
Yeah,
for sure.
love 2K. Any sports games. I used to always play UFC.
I'll whoop you in UFC. I have it here. We'll play after.
There you go. I'm down actually.
I'm down.
It's been a while, but I'm down.
I have 4. I have the new one.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you watch UFC at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch the Pereira Adesanya fight? The Pereira Adesanya fight recently.
Pereira lost.
Yeah, Pereira got knocked the fuck out.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Fuck that.
I do remember that. But yeah, I don't think I could smoke weed and work on Ableton. I've tried it.
And do a podcast?
Honestly, no.
I don't think I could.
Can I do it? Yes.
But I don't think I'd talk enough.
I don't think I'd be comfortable. Like I wouldn't be like comfortable, like relaxed. I'd be like, how do I sound? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
no, 100%.
Like, why is he looking at me like that?
In my own head for sure.
But no, I like watching movies. Dude, I smoke a lot of weed when I'm in LA. Literally, only when I'm in LA, I'm just fucking smoking weed all the time.
Well, also, it's like
even when I'm going to a show. going to a show and smoking weed is great.
I do that, but my problem is when I'm on other things and I smoke, it sounds weird. It fucking like I can't. It happened to me.
Don't do drugs, kids.
At Afterlife in Miami, dude, I felt like a fucking first time partier. Literally, I felt like it was my first time going to a fucking party because I'm sitting there doing bumps of K all night, and I decided to smoke 3 people decide to smoke a joint. I'm the only one who actually smokes the joint, and no one else takes any hits. And then I got fucking sent in the middle of Afterlife, dude, in the middle of like a 10,000 person crowd. I'm there. I fucking fall to the floor because I can't move. I ended up throwing up in the middle of the crowd, and that was not a fun experience at all.
And that's why you don't do drugs.
Don't
kids.
do drugs, kids. Yeah.
That's why drugs are bad. I think going to shows, and if you have to do a lot of that kind of shit, I don't think you love the music as much as you think you do. The people who go to clubs, like listening to a set, and they're like, I need Molly right now, or else I'm not gonna have fun. It's like, well, maybe you're at the wrong show.
Yeah, for sure. And there are sets where I do feel like that, for sure.
Yeah.
Where I'm like,
does it make it more like, can you enjoy something sober, but if you take something, you can enjoy it more? Like, I could respect that, because everyone does that. Yeah. But if you could only go to a show and you need to take something for that show, or else you're not gonna have fun, you should maybe check out some other shows, because that's a bad sign. I see that a lot. Yeah,
like it definitely can help it make it more fun, but you shouldn't need it. But I think like Molly is different. Like, if you need Molly to have fun at a show, like, you're fucked in the head.
Yeah.
If you need K to have fun,
depends on what you're taking.
Yeah.
I used to when I first started DJing, it was like, I want to say when I was in the Army, so 2015, 8 years ago. I would be on base downloading music on Spotify, not even like MP3 files, like actually just saving music on Spotify. And I had this app, DJ.
I used to have that too on my computer.
So I had it on my phone. And every day, or not every day, every time I got out of the Army, I would go to Tel Aviv, to Dizengoff Center. And they had this Bose store. Bose Audio. And Bose, they had...
Is that how they say it?
I don't know. Is it Bose or is it Bose? I think it's Bose.
It's Bose.
Yeah, so Bose. In Israel, I think they say Bose.
They say Nike, right? Don't they say Nike?
I still don't know. Is it Nike or Nike?
You don't know?
It's Nike.
It's Nike.
It's Nike?
Bro.
I'm way off on everything.
No, this guy doesn't know what Bose and Nike is. It's Bose and Nike.
Listen, at least I got right. It's not Ame, it's
Are you sure?
I literally, only because of the Tall Foosman podcast, it's because they kept talking about him and they said He was like, is it Ame or is it He's like, it's
No way.
So there you go. There you go.
Those you heard it here first. You heard it here second. Paul Fussman, it was first.
It's But yeah, I would go to Bose Audio, and they had this little DJ setup called a WeGo. And it's a mix board, very small, just 2 channels. It's literally maybe a foot long. And I would go plug in my phone, set it down, and I'm in uniform. I have my gun on me and everything. And I go to the guy who's working behind the counter. I'm like, yo, do you mind if I DJ here? And he was like, well, if you're gonna start DJing for me in the store, I'm gonna take some Molly. I'm like, we're in Bose Audio in the middle of Tel Aviv. I'm like,
take Molly.
I'm like, so you want me to rip? Like, you want me to actually rip out here? And he's like, dude, honestly, if you come here, you're in uniform, you're with a gun, and you want to start spinning for like the guests, you know, mid volume, nothing too crazy, not too loud. I was like, yeah, and I would be there for like 4 hours, 5 hours. My shoulder would freaking hurt. Like I have the gun on me. Like, I'm not putting that down. You can't put that down. And I didn't care. I just wanted to DJ. And that was my only place where I could really do anything.
That's fun as fuck.
But it just reminded me because of the whole Molly thing. But this guy would take a little point of Molly or MD, whatever you want to call it. And I would just rip sets, and he would come up to me. He's like, dude, you're pretty good. Like, and I was playing the weirdest stuff, but I was playing like Skrillex and like just very mainstream EDM stuff, like Diplo stuff.
Yeah.
And
listen, that's where everyone starts, you know.
Yeah, that's literally where everyone started.
Probably not Fortet. Fortet probably didn't start. I mean, people like that. It's like,
that's from the 80s. I mean, it's different. It's a different generation.
It is, but yeah, for people like us, you know, 95% of DJs who are starting out, who are millennial, Gen Z, and like on that cusp, like they started off listening. They grew up on Skrillex and Deadmau5.
Yeah,
and like
I think that's when I really realized, like, hey, I'm very passionate about this. If I'm going for 3 months straight, every other weekend, going to Bose Audio and ripping sets for free for like 4 people, like maybe I should start playing more, you know? Maybe I should see what else is out there. And I would live on this kibbutz like down south. And they would have kibbutz parties. And I literally take my phone, open DJ app, not even to the mix board. I'm on the app with I'm not going to call it a club because like, you're talking about like a village, you know, like you're DJing for like a village of people, but it's all young people, like 100, 150 people. So like, you know, good speakers. It's a bar. People are drinking. People are dancing. People are trying to go nuts. I'm freaking sitting there on my iPhone DJing to crowds of like 150 people. It's all synced. It's all, you know, you're on your phone. But I'm doing it.
There were no decks.
Yeah, no. I mean, the deck is like on the iPhone. Like, it's DJ app. It's an app. It's literally an app.
No, I had DJ. I had DJ on my computer when it like first came out on the App Store, and it was like free at the time. I got it, and this was when I was like, I just gotten that laptop, so it must have been like 11 years old or something.
Oh, yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and honestly, that was my first intro to DJing. I messed around with it a little, but I didn't really know what I was doing. But it's crazy to
at 11.
At 11.
I think I was in 9th or 10th grade. I made my first remix. And I just put a kick drum. Literally, I just took a sample on GarageBand and put a kick drum over I'm Blue. I'm blue and that is. Yeah. Just a kick drum. That's so because the kick wasn't strong enough, and I was like, I'm trying to bump this in the party bus for my friend's birthday party. So I bounced it like that. And it hit. No one even knew it was a remix, and I just a new kick on it. And it's not like I took the other kick out. It was just I just layered it. But I needed that down.
My first track, which I put on, it's probably still on SoundCloud, was I took a song from like Alok or one of those big room DJs.
Yeah, like the Brazilian bass house.
Yeah. I took one of those songs, and I took like you've seen the Zohan, right?
Yeah.
There's this one part where he's like, "You are going to get spoiled." I just put that right before the drop, and then like in between the song, at some point I would put like the disco good.
That's nice.
No, it wasn't. Listen, to this day, that's my most played song or mix on all platforms, dude. I swear. And I took it down because it's so bad. But just because I put the Zohan in it, like I would look at the SoundCloud insights for like where people were playing. It was getting played like all over the country, dude. Like, I was like, who's listening?
Back then SoundCloud was popping. So you were able, if you're putting something on SoundCloud, like people are gonna find it.
Yeah,
you're gonna get thousands of streams.
Mm-hmm. I think I had like 2,000 or 3,000 plays on it.
Yeah. That's how it worked. That's how back when SoundCloud was like all this, the rappers were putting their stuff, all the hip hop. That's where we would find all our stuff.
Now I release a mix, I get 100
plays. Yeah. I mean, today there's thousands and thousands
Everyone
of songs.
Everyone and their mother's a fucking DJ. And
not even specifically to electronic music, but every day there's tracks on tracks on tracks being put out, thousands and thousands of tracks being put out, which is a beautiful thing too. You know, people are really putting their art into the world, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's like talked about this a little on the last episode, like the pros and cons of like commercialization of house music. It's like when you get someone like Fisher, it sucks for the people who are really passionate about it to kind of see someone just like coming out of nowhere, just become like ginormous. He creates opportunities for things like more podcasts, because more people like house music now because of Fisher. He's the gateway for so many people,
right?
And then they go looking for more things like Fisher. Oh, I liked Fisher. Oh, what can I find that's similar to Fisher? They go deeper and deeper. One of my boys who was a huge like Fisher guy, you know, was in a frat. Now he like loves Lightning in a Bottle and loves like all like different music. And like, if it wasn't for Fisher, you probably wouldn't be as much into it as he is right now.
Yeah, I think there's a very big line of like people like Fisher who, or, you know, Chris Lake or whoever, they also pretty much kind of were the forefront of that sound, of that, you know, that Dirty Bird, like tech house. They made it into what it was, which is cool. And yeah, I think more good than bad.
Well, Fisher, I don't think he actually produces anything. I think Chris Lake Ghost produces all of his songs.
I mean, I don't think we'll ever really know exactly what's happening there, but yeah, everyone says Chris Lake is like his ghost producer, and
because Fisher was part of Cut Snake.
But people have to realize, like, yes, Chris Lake might be making music for Fisher. People think this is like a DJ electronic music phenomenon. But people have to realize that literally since the 60s or 70s, there's ghost producers, there's ghost artists. I'm talking for pop music.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of these pop artists, they never wrote their songs, but they're
ghost writers. It's been, these people don't have time, and the reason they don't have time is there's money in shows, and there's more money in shows than there is in songs. Like if you play big shows, you'll get more money than a lot of streams on Spotify, you know?
Yeah. I think my point is that it's not a new thing. I don't think it's like, it sucks to see when like it's obvious, when it's like a DJ wants to be a DJ and they know that the only way to get real viewers or real fans is by putting out music, so they just hire someone to put the music out for them. That's when it gets like, all right, you suck, you just have money in your pocket, so you're just paying your way through it. Those people don't really last at the end of the day.
Has someone ever tried to buy a track off you?
No, in fact, I actually have made tracks where I've offered it to people to buy.
Really? Because
at the end of the day, I want to make money too, and I'm not gonna judge their morals. Did I tell
you about that Brazilian guy that asked me about the Brazilian track?
I think you did, yeah. That he wanted to buy it off you, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's bad to contribute to that whole thing, but producers will make a lot of music. A lot of that music, they're never going to do anything with it, and a lot of those producers need to make money. So ghost producing is a very strong way to make money. Yeah, so you could reinvest in yourself.
Yeah. The guy you hooked me up with, can I say his name? Does he do ghost producing?
Who?
The one you hooked me up with. I don't want to like put his name.
Yeah, we won't say his name, but yes, he has done some projects for other people.
Yeah,
and it is so common, bro. And it depends how far you want to look into what a ghost producer does. Like, do you consider someone who's sitting in the studio with someone giving their opinions, but it doesn't touch the mouse once, but gives their opinions on a track? Is he getting ghost produced for? You know, there's levels to it.
Yes, bro, because you can't just like tell a guitarist, you know, what to play, and then be like, oh yeah, I'm the guitarist. Like you know,
Yeah.
There's what your boy that you hooked me up with. What he does is so technical, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's like playing. It's like being really really good at an instrument. Ableton's like a fucking instrument, dude.
Yeah.
Knowing how to use Ableton is like learning an instrument.
I think it's harder. I think learning an instrument is very specific to
Depends on the instrument, bro.
Because Ableton, you're everything. You're the whole band. You're the drummer. You're the pianist. You're melody. You have the melodies that's all coming from you. You have the percussion that's all coming from you.
It's really about the knowledge, bro.
I think it's more like learning how to code. That's what I compare it most to. So any person that's done that went to 4 years to do software and coding, I think that's what it's best compared to. It's like learning a new language.
Well, dude, a lot of very technical like software developers. A lot of software developers are very very into producing and hardware and synths, specifically hardware synths. Like they're very into it.
It reminds me of have you heard of Object?
No.
Object is like very industrial, crazy talented DJ. Saw him at Cross actually for the first time. My boy was telling me about him, and he was like, "You have to see him, from Germany." Object with a K.
Oh, I think I've heard of him.
And I started digging, like, who is this guy? Like, what is he doing? He builds synths. Like, he worked in the hardware part of it. He like built mixers. Crazy guy. And he knows how to EQ so perfectly and knows all the sounds and knows how to do everything based off of what he did on the hardware side.
Yeah.
But he built 100%. These things.
Yeah, and then you get a true understanding of not just the sound you're hearing, but the actual audio wave. And these guys can like look at audio waves and tell you what note it is. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy. But fuck, I mean, there's producing is you could write an encyclopedia on producing, and there's no right or wrong way, and it's just endless what you can do with it.
Yeah, we just try to get better and better. I went to a production school. I went for like, I think it was a 6-month course. And that's a whole different story. Like, people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna start making my own music," and then they realize what it takes to make your own music, and that's when they're like, "I need a freaking ghost producer because I need to put out music." I think it's very funny, like how things actually changed, because now DJing is so glorified and it's such a big stage and it's so many lights, and like in the 80s or 90s, that's not how it was. Like, you're the DJ, you're the nerd. Like, you're the guy who's carrying hundreds of records, crates, and your vinyls, and like that's what like is still missing now, is like those real, and those are all the 40-year-old DJs, the 50-year-old DJs that are the ones that are still carrying the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Carl Coxes and stuff.
Yeah, people like Robert Hood, people like Carl Craig or Derek Carr, like they're still so relevant because they are the definition of what the scene is.
100%.
Lots of saturation now.
And you talk about like, it's so saturated. We were talking about a second ago about how music producing and like software development is like so similar, and there's like a big overlap there. One of my buddies who's like a software developer who has like this office in New York, he works with like a bunch of other software developers who work with like AI, like voice changing stuff. So
that's a whole thing now.
Yeah, so essentially with their software, he was telling me
that song that came out from Drake in The Weeknd with the voice.
Yeah, that was wild.
Universal's going crazy over that one.
Yeah, literally. And so basically what these guys' software do is essentially they'd be able to take this podcast and put it in any language. I think they're like, they have like 15 languages at this point or something. That's also
crazy.
But it keeps our voices and it keeps the way we talk. So like, it's as if I am fluent in all of these languages, but it's my tone of voice, and they can do it from. I think all they need is 30 seconds of someone talking. If they get 30 seconds of you talking, they can do that with any language.
Nuts. With your voice and everything.
Yeah, but my buddy was saying
are they going to start doing that for movies, for dubs?
Yeah, that's the plan of their business. Like animes too, like anime TV shows.
Anime is huge.
Huge. If they can get all these animes to go from Japanese to English, but keep the way the Japanese people talk, make so much fucking money. So much.
That's
money.
Crazy.
It is crazy, but it kills a whole career, which is voice acting. It literally kills a whole career.
But that's what AI is doing in every industry.
It's crazy.
McDonald's, you have McDonald's out there now with no workers.
Dude, I saw some AI DJ shit the other day where you put in like a playlist and it'll organize like a set based off of track energy and key and tempo. You put in like 200 songs and it gives you a set, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, I still like Spotify will do that. Like I just literally just uploaded my first song today. I mean, by the way, I was so new at like all my stuff was always on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to release my song on April 20th. I think it was April 20th.
420.
420. So the day after 420, actually, because that was a Thursday, right? I wanted to release on a Friday, do the whole thing. The night before, I opened DistroKid. I try uploading my track, and it tells me it's going to take 5 days.
No way.
I'm like damn. I'm new to this.
Is that like a distribution?
Yeah, DistroKid. They just you upload it through there, and they'll just throw it on.
They give you like an RSS or something.
They just throw it on every platform, so you don't have to go one platform at a time. They just upload it to everything at once. Don't know how it works, to be honest.
I still haven't uploaded any of these podcasts, so I need to figure all that out.
Yeah,
I finally created the whole Spotify though. So.
I did, and I looked at. They uploaded everywhere, and I one of the places it was uploaded to is YouTube Music.
Really, that's cool.
And I look it up. I want to check it out, and it's uploaded under a different DJ, under a different artist.
No way.
And it's some like crazy like ambient guy.
Some guy named Siegel though.
He has like 4,000. Some guy named Siegel. He has like 4,000 subscribers.
No way.
My song has a couple hundred views, and they think it's him.
No way.
So I gotta email YouTube or something because this fool's probably like, he's like, what the fuck is this shit? This fucking little boy putting out music.
Probably has the same last name as you though.
Same something.
That's funny as fuck though. God.
But yeah, finally got it on.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So go for it.
I mean, I have a lot of tracks. I really do. I have like 10 to 15 that I'm holding on to that are releasable. But everything is so different. Everything is so different from each other. I have raw techno tracks, and I have breakbeat tracks, and I have like indie, like, with the crazy snares and the rock and roll sample. Like, and I don't know if I should be that guy who's just like, fuck it, I'm just going to release everything.
Well, that's how I am too, is like, I'm sitting on so many tracks, but almost none of them are the same style or genre.
That's when you have to figure out, when you're building your image, when you're trying to make a name for yourself, you can't really have so many different styles, because when these promoters are going to look at your page, they're going to be like, what do you play?
Yeah. And Will Clark actually talked about this on his podcast recently. And it was like, he was basically saying that you're almost forced to kind of just make club bangers these days. Just what goes off in a club, like hard kick snare, whatever. But like it takes away the ability to actually create like music. Yeah. And
I think that's the biggest problem now.
It's the biggest problem, because I have songs up there that in my head are like masterpieces that are my favorite songs, but then I show them to other people and they're like, yeah, it's chill, and then I show them some track of mine with literally a vocal, a kick, like a clap, and a couple snares in it, and they're like, "Yo, this is sick."
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's also like kind of a tasting on like the minimal, like whatever people like. It's tough when you want to put out so many different styles, but you know it's not going to be conducive to making a career out of it. So you have to really kind of figure out what kind of sound you want to push towards. And within that realm, still experiment, but keep that like bass sound. I think artists who are able to do that, people like Forte, people like Red Axes, where you could understand that it's them, but everything's different. That's where the goal is.
Yeah. And like doing just like, I think Red Axis uses, and I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure they use like the 909 in almost all of their songs. Like
I'm sure they do.
Drums, like basically all of their songs are 909s.
I'm sure it is. And that's a crazy, crazy, crazy tool.
It is. And I think they have the real Roland TR-909.
Yeah, dude, those guys have everything. They're masters at
I don't
synths.
get how like people like Red Axis can afford like crazy studios. Like a TR-909, a real one, is like thousands of dollars.
So it's actually funny because specifically Red Axes, they don't have any crazy studio. And I was just listening.
They have so much hardware, dude.
They have a lot of hardware.
Yeah.
But that just over the years.
It's so crazy though.
I was just listening to Tal Fussman's podcast. I'll refer back to that. He was actually talking about this. You know, the guy asked him, he was like, you know, what was your first, like, how did you get into it? How did you like start producing? And it blew my mind because this guy's like, yeah, you know, I started drumming, and I started, you know, I was a guitar player, and I got released from the army. And when you get released from the military, you get like a little bit of money. So he took that money and bought 2 monitors, $400, and he still uses the same ones until today. That was like 10 years ago. He didn't say which ones they were, but you know, $400 monitors. So
yeah, like
one of the cool things about our generation and like where we're at is that you can make crazy music off your headphones and a laptop. I've done that on a 100%. Lot of my tracks.
Yeah, dude, like on planes, honestly, I really like producing when I'm on flights.
Yeah,
because I feel like I don't have distractions because I'm not connected to the internet.
Yeah,
I'm just in the music, right?
My problem is the lack of space I have. But other than that, it's
really like I just when I'm on flights, I'm just there like with my headphones, like fuck yeah, that sounds good, like just grinding it out, and then I get back to my house, put it on. I don't mix it at all. I just like get elements in there and just pick sounds I think will go well together.
Yeah.
Don't do any of the mixing though. On the flight, we can't mix it. Fucking AirPods, but
yeah, and AirPods, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I produce a lot on like studio headphones.
Yeah.
But yeah, ended up putting the song out today. First release. Hopefully of many.
Out now on all platforms.
Yeah, I took a MIA sample on it. Her album from 2007. My friend actually sent me the album and he was like, dude, this is like groundbreaking. It's a groundbreaking album. I was like, dude, every song from this album, I really recommend anyone who's into like electronic music to listen to that MIA album. I was like, there's so much I could sample here. And
Did you chop those vocals on? Are those chopped at all?
So I took the main vocal. I took a very small part of that song, 1 sentence. There was 2 sentences. And then what I did is I opened Sound Toys, the crystallizer effect, and I put it on the vocal to see what will come out. And it gave me a really cool chop. So I resampled it into another track, and it was ready to go. It gave me that chop.
Awesome.
It was a happy mistake.
That's sick.
Well, not a mistake.
It's not a mistake. It's part of the process, you know.
Yeah.
Part of the process is like I personally am not good enough to know exactly sometimes how to get to where I want.
Right.
So I'm sitting there experimenting
and then something comes out.
Exactly.
Which is like the best way to produce.
100%.
And that's it was a cool chop. And then that was the last thing, the vocal and that, you know, the vocal chop behind it. That was the last thing I put on that track. I had the percussion, I had the melodic elements, and I was like, The only thing missing here is a cool vocal. And then I remembered that my friend sent me that 2007 album, and I started digging into that. I was able to find a really cool vocal, pitch your voice down. And yeah, sampling is like my favorite thing in the world. I think every DJ should be allowed to. I think copyright's kind of bullshit.
So I've had a very weird kind of opinion on sampling for my whole life. Like, I personally haven't done a lot of sampling. Obviously, vocals, I sample a shit ton. But in terms of like percussion sampling, I try my hardest to do almost everything.
No, you don't sample percussion.
Tech house DJs.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But tech house is all percussion. So a lot of times what they'll do is
you could use samples. That's different. That's different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like using a part of a song that's recognizable in a melodic aspect, or or the vocal,
or like a bass line or something.
Even bass lines is like, yeah, you could say it for bass lines also, but in general, sampling, I think it should be allowed for most things. I don't know if you're gonna sample someone's drums, you better do something really cool outside of those drums.
So I know quite a few people who will take like a full sample of a drum, just like, take one of the hi-hats out of it and reuse that how they want it. But sampling, I've honestly started to embrace it more recently in my producing, because originally, like, I was trying to do everything just completely from scratch, and it just burns you out. It's just like you spend a lot of time fucking with sounds. And like the other day, I was just in my room like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like trying to pick a kick drum, and I was fucking with the kick drum probably for like an hour until I realized, fuck, I've just been working on a kick drum for like an hour. What am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? I could have produced 20% of this track already,
Yeah. So that's where you have to get picky. I have a very specific list of kicks that I'll always use, like 10 different kicks. I know they're all great. They've been tested on big speakers, so I know they work, and then build around that. I think having a template is super, super, super important, where you can save on your workflow. Obviously, I'm still learning. I'm not like an expert at Ableton or anything. I was able to get to the point where I could put good music out. I know it'll sound good in the club. Making edits, making little remixes. And yeah, I think sampling done right, tastefully, could go a long way. You look at people like, I hate to talk about Kanye West because of who he is, but as a producer, he's the Lord. As a producer, he's a freaking genius. Or if you look at someone
the king
like
of sampling,
and if you look at someone like Madlib, he's only sampled. You look at the biggest tracks ever made, from Daft Punk to almost every famous song. They're usually samples.
Dude, I don't know if you listen to Gorillaz a lot?
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood?
Yeah. That was made, that famous TikTok video that blew up.
I saw that the other
Got
day.
it off some
He got it off. It was like the preset.
Yeah.
It was the preset like jingle on one of the synths he had. They were just like, oh, let's make a song out of that. It was a preset.
Yeah, the famous Mobb Deep track. I'm forgetting the name. The one that Eminem rapped over also.
Yeah.
That was a pure sample. Ripped out off an 80s track or 90s track, something like that. So I'm a huge fan of samples. I think that's how you keep pushing music forward, but you got to do it tastefully. You got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something Shook.
Shook Ones?
Shook Ones.
Yeah.
Shook Ones.
Yeah, so Shook Ones.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to Song Exploder.
Okay.
Another podcast. Have you heard of Song Exploder?
I think I've heard. I think you've mentioned it to me before.
Yeah, they take the biggest songs ever made in history, and they invite the artist, to talk about how they made it.
So when are you going on?
Yeah. Talking about the biggest songs.
Yeah.
Pop music, rap. And that was one of the ones, Shook Ones with Mobb Deep. And he was saying,
That's
this is a pure freaking sample. Yeah. He showed everything and he just made it off fucking $20 system.
Oh, I think I saw that video.
Yeah.
I think I saw it.
Just another example of a guy who heard something. He was like, I need to sample that. Pitched it differently.
Yeah.
Warped it the way he wanted it. And that's what's cool about sampling. Making it your own.
Yeah, that's really the coolest part. So in that track I was working on that I sent you, that's a Talking Head sample. And then
of course.
I used that.
Yeah, the vocal.
And then I don't know if I sent you, I added a chopped vocal, a chopped version of that. Or a chopped layer of that vocal.
It was a Pink Floyd vocal, right?
No, it was Talking Heads.
Talking Heads?
Talking Heads. It was it's Psycho Killer by Talking Heads.
Psycho Killer, that's what it was. You're right.
And then I chopped that too and added that on top of the actual vocals itself, and it sounds sick. So I gotta show that to you after this. All right. So thank you for coming on, Mr. Matan Siegel.
Appreciate you having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Great talk. We missed it. I didn't want to break your thing. I know it's sensitive.
They move. Look, it moves. You can touch it. You can move it to your mouth.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you see that?
Love it. I wanted to be respectful of the gear.
Yeah, call me Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, seriously, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you having me.
How long are you left in LA? How much time you got left?
2 more weeks. Relocating to Miami. Got a nice day job there.
Yeah, we gotta kick it again before you go for sure.
We'll kick it. We'll work on some music
for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Of course,
Lots
it's
of fun.
been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you, everyone.